I just picked up a slightly used Honda Grom. If you are interested in buying one of these bikes as your first bike or a starter bike per se, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why you should get a Honda Grom, but it's not so simple. I'm going to also give you a whole handful of reasons why the Honda Grom is also not a perfect starter bike for some people. So let's get into it. Alright, so starting with the reasons why a Honda Grom would be an amazing starting bike, learner bike, beginner bike, is that it is very lightweight. It's around 220 pounds. It is super easy to maneuver at low speeds. It's easy to turn around, to do U-turns in. And another thing, because it's so small and lightweight, for shorter riders out there, which that's not me, I'm a little over 6 feet tall, but we have a really low seat height. My kids, my first and second grader, don't have any issues climbing onto this bike. Now, they can't flat-foot it or anything, but they can climb on it. It's a super easy, super low seat. It's just a dream for shorter people. If you're 5 foot tall or something, a Honda Grom shouldn't be an issue for you to swing a leg over. Like I said, because it's so lightweight, you can easily maneuver this bike with not a lot of experience. So I know a lot of people use these bikes as learner bikes in their MSF course. I actually learned on a Yamaha V-Star, which I don't think was the best learner bike for me and my riding bikes, I guess you could say. I prefer more standard or naked bikes. I started off on a Ninja 250 way back when, but this is my first bike in about 10 years. And the snatchy throttle here on the Grom at low speeds it takes some getting used to. There's a big on and off, but you can also modulate with the clutch in low speed maneuvers. So that is something people recommend doing to keep the bike moving. It's just going by itself right now, and so you don't need to use the throttle a whole lot for these low speed maneuvers. It's just super easy. Like, a really good turn radius for most motorcycles is probably going to be like 2 widths of a parking spot. The Honda Grom can do it pretty easy, and my skills are pretty, they're rusty because I haven't ridden regularly in about 10 years. So I just put a leg down there. But again, because it's so low to the ground, you can easily put a leg down even in these low speed maneuvers and just have a good time. And if you drop it, well, your chances of dropping it are really, really small because it is so lightweight, and your foot is always going to be close to the ground to save you from falling over. So lightweight, low seat height, that's a great reason why the Honda Grom is a starter bike for complete novices. Another reason why the Honda Grom is a great starter bike is that it is affordable. MSRP is around $3,500 as of 2024. And I got it out the door for about $4,300. That includes tax, title, registration here in Florida. Now, I bought mine slightly used. It had about 280 miles on it, so it was brand new. And the previous owner put a tail tidy on it from Yoshimura, so that's about a $200 investment there that came with the bike. So for me, I got to avoid some dealer fees and whatnot, but if you buy this on the private party market, you can probably get them for about $3,000 in South Florida or wherever your market is. So also, insurance is super cheap on a Honda Grom. Since it doesn't have a lot of power, insurance companies aren't afraid to insure you and give you really good coverages for low amounts of money. So Honda Grom, not only a low sticker price, new or used, but yeah, insurance, monthly insurance, yearly insurance, however you want to do it, is also very affordable. Shop around for sure. It's also cheap to fuel this bike. I don't know what kind of fuel economy I'm getting. I put it about 60 miles on this so far, and I still have 2/3 of a tank. 100 miles per gallon is probably, and it only puts in like 1.5 gallons. In 2022, they added a 5th gear and made the fuel tank bigger, as well as improved the power delivery here on the bike. No, he's not crossing. But a reason why it gets such good fuel economy and why it's also cheap to insure is that it has such low power, which is great for beginners. I'm fully locked right now on the on the wrist, and you're just never going to get anywhere particularly quick. Doesn't mean it's not fun, but yeah, since there's no power on this bike, you're not going to get yourself into trouble, whether that's speeding tickets, whether that's doing a loop, like accidentally wheeling yourself on your back. You're not going to have any of those issues with the Honda Grom. So also the last point of, is he going the opposite way? Jeez, my blinkers are in the what are they going the opposite way? All right, why else is a Honda Grom a great starting bike? You can almost see the ocean from here. It's literally right over those houses. The Honda Grom is super easy to modify, and it's very affordable to modify. There are parts everywhere from TST, Yoshimura. Kemimoto has tons of parts for this little bike as well. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get wet here due to the sprinklers and the wind, but that's a part of the fun, you know? Oh, getting a nice spray. Hopefully the camera didn't get sprayed too bad. But also, yeah, the Honda Grom, cheap parts, man. Like, I've gotten so many upgrades for this bike in the first week or so of owning it, and it's really easy to work on. And I think that's also a nice buying point for new riders, is that you just have a single cylinder here. There are YouTube videos that teach you everything with the Honda Grom. Another reason why the Honda Grom's a great starting motorcycle is that if you don't know how to ride a manual transmission, this is like the perfect place to learn how to learn a manual transmission, because in about 40 miles per hour you're able to upshift 4 times to 5th gear, and it's really easy to rev match your downshifts, as I'm going to demonstrate. Well, I just did it right a second ago, but I'm gonna do it again. There's 3rd. It's just super easy to do. Wow, they're really not trying to get around this biker guy. Good for him, you know? He's on a bike. He's doing his thing. He can't really look up though. That's kind of scary, but you do you, bro. You paid a lot of money to move down here, maybe once upon a time 50 years ago. And since I'm at a stop sign here, if you live in Southern California or in California in general, able to legally lane filter and lane split, which is super beneficial. But yeah, learning how to drive a manual in here. Now, the mechanics and the principles are very similar to a manual transmission car. When I bought my first motorcycle 10 years ago or so, I was driving a daily in a 5-speed Miata. I believe it only had 5 speeds, and this has 5 speeds as well. So, okay, I don't know if he's gonna see me. I'm gonna roll through the throttle. That's another reason why this bike is not a good beginner bike, because you can't use your power to get out of the way, but we'll talk about that later. So, manual transmission, super easy to learn on, very rewarding, very forgiving with its power and its close gear ratios and everything. So, yeah, there you go. It's lightweight, it's cheap, it's great to learn on with its manual. Parts are cheap, insurance is cheap, great fuel economy, and you're not going to get yourself into trouble. So that's a bunch of reasons for the Honda Grom right there. Now, why should you not buy the Honda Grom as a beginner bike or your first bike or only bike? Well, it is super lightweight. And if you plan on doing more highway stuff, it's going to push you around. But another con of being lightweight is that when you go to a real bike that has considerable power, the entire dynamics are different. The bikes weigh at least twice as much compared to this Grom. Like I said, this only weighs 225, which is about half the weight of your average let's say sport bike or something like that. Those start around 400 pounds if I remember right. And my Ninja 250, that was it's like 320 pounds, so an extra 100 pounds less than this. This feels like a toy compared to my Ninja 250. Oh, I got my blinker still on, and that's another reason why you shouldn't get Grom as your first bike, is that blinkers don't self-cancel. So being so light, it definitely has its benefits while learning, but it also has its cons when you step up from this bike, if you want to step up for this bike. Another reason why it's not a good bike in general, and maybe not for first-time owners, is that this bike is small, and visibility on any motorcycle is not good, meaning the people seeing you. On a Grom, it's even worse because you're not very high off the ground, and the bike you're riding is like an ant. What is this, a house for ants, a library for ants? That's kind of what I feel like on the Honda Grom. So you have to be extra careful making sure people see you. You need to be doing the right things always with the Honda Grom to make yourself visible. Right now I'm wearing a high-vis jacket. That is going to help your chances of being seen dramatically. And I like how the orange contrasts with the blue Yoshimura sticker kit that I have on here, which is, it was a lot of fun to put on. It was only 30 bucks, and I believe it was worth every penny. Now, it doesn't stick perfectly everywhere on the bike, but maybe that's a different video if you guys want to learn about the Yoshimura sticker kit. And it's only 30 bucks of your money and maybe an hour of your time to put on, so it's almost not even worth doing a video on. But another reason why you shouldn't get a Grom as your first bike, because it's not going to teach you proper throttle control, because this bike only has 10 horsepower. Oh, there's some nice, are those Harleys? Is that a scooter? I got a scooter. Most of these guys never wave. They don't do the motorcycle wave because they're too old. I should re-say that. A lot of the older people down here have no cares, and they also can't see you half the time. Oh yeah, so back to the throttle control. If you're to just grab the throttle like this, yeah, it pulls me forward, but it's not that big of a deal. Like, I have no risk of falling off the bike, even with one hand, when I'm just cranking the throttle to wide open. If you do that on a bike with 20 to 30 horsepower, you might fall off the bike. Let alone a bike with 100 horsepower, you will kill yourself. And so that's, since this is so removed from most bikes in America, grabbing a whole wrist of throttle is not going to kill you, which is great for a beginner. But as a result, when you move up to another bike, you could be in a lot of trouble if you just grab a whole lot of throttle and thinking it's going to behave like your old Grommy Grom did. Here's a huge reason why you shouldn't get a Honda Grom as your first bike or only bike. Well, the brakes here work well. I don't have ABS. You can get ABS on it. And that is a great feature for new time riders. Absolutely. Because if you grab a whole bunch of brake, you could lock up your wheels, and that would be potentially death. So yeah, ABS is good. This one doesn't have it, but it's not that important for me since I understand how to work a progressive brake handle or even brake pedal on an automobile. It's too slow, guys. It is, ooh, nice backfire. It is too slow for anything outside of 50 mile per hour. Okay, hopefully they see me, yep. Outside of anything above 50 mile per hour, because this motorcycle tops off around 60, best case scenario. That's the fastest I've got it, is 61 miles an hour. I'm about 200 pounds. But why should I say you shouldn't take this on a speed limit of 55 or even 60 miles an hour? Well, you have nothing left in the tank. So on a bike that has such limited power, you don't want to put yourself in a position that you can't accelerate even a little bit over the speed limit. You should have that reserve of speed just in case you need to get around or get out of tricky situations, I guess you could say. Also, another reason why the Grom kicks ass if you're tall is I can stand at stoplights or stop signs and like just balance the bike between my legs. I'm flat-footed on each side, and it allows me to just be more comfortable and get off my ass. The stock seat on here is not fantastic. I don't think it's as terrible as some people make it seem to be, but yeah, I can stand, and instead of just sitting on my ass and waiting, I can move my hips around, move the bike a little bit. Now this road says it has a speed limit of 35. I don't have to worry too much, right? I got all that extra throttle here. I can go about 50 regularly, sometimes 55 if I'm pinned for a long period of time like I am right now. But people go well above the speed limit too. So another reason you shouldn't get the Grom is that just people drive so fudging fast everywhere. People are always breaking the speed limit. The speed limit says 35, they're going 45, 50, at least where I live. And yeah, so that's why I don't really touch anything with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit regularly. Small hints there, here and there, on and off, 45 mile an hour. I won't touch anything that's 50 mile an hour plus essentially on this bike. So if you plan on using this as a commuter bike and you have stints that are on a highway or interstate, this is not the bike for you. In fact, that's a death note. So there you go. I mean, if you want, I can tuck right now and 55, you know, like that's about it. Since it is so predictable and there's not much to learn on it after you master the basics, you can always get better, right? You can always improve your braking skills, you can always improve your handling skills and your clutch control, all that. That's why it's so fun to ride. But in terms of speed, people want speed, right? We live in America with long stretches of straight road. If the Grom is something you're thinking about and you don't want to have a Grom forever, it's not the right bike for you. The reason I picked this bike up is because it's perfect for where I live. It has amazing fuel economy. It's essentially a scooter for me in my beach town, and I will eventually get another bike that has more power so I can go on the roads above 50 mile an hour speed limit. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that. Definitely stay tuned because I will be bringing a bigger bike on the channel here pretty soon, and definitely cover all sorts of other topics that this little Grommy Mickey Mouse eared Grom can't quite cover everything on the channel. But man, I don't know if that other bike can possibly be as fun as the Grom. All right, so in summary, you get a Grom because you know its limitations. You get a Grom because you're going to be riding in town most of the time. You get a Grom because your commute, you live in an area where you can commute on it and really get really good fuel economy. You also get a Grom if it's your second bike, because you know it's so affordable for all the reasons I listed earlier. It's so affordable that you can afford a second or third bike too, no problem. And the Grom is just an amazing value. Oh, that's something I didn't mention earlier. It holds its value super well. And ooh, I might be able to hit a new top speed here since I'm going downhill. Tuck. We don't have any hills here in Florida. No, the hill wasn't long enough. I got to 58. If you plan on getting a second bike, Grom's an awesome companion just to screw around on, have fun, fly through the gears. No other bike can provide that sort of experience, really. Well, there are some like the Monkey and whatnot, and the Z125 Pro, the Navi. The Navi is even more dangerous than this, in my opinion, because the Navi has less power. Let's go, baby. It really falls flat after about 6,500 RPM, so it doesn't even sound that good. Yeah, the Honda Grom. It's probably the best out of the mini bikes. I heard the Z125 Pro is really good. Like there are some things it does better than the Grom, but it doesn't hold its value as well. So, you know, you always have your pros and cons regardless of what it is. So let me know if you think the Honda Grom is an amazing beginner bike, starter bike. I think it is for a lot of different reasons, but I also don't think it is, depending on who you are and what your needs are. So with that being said, I'm signing out from my little pleasure machine. I could say that over and over. It even sounds good saying it. The Grom is making me a little giddy, so I should probably cut this off before I say anything too stupid. Thank you guys. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the little Grom. Grom life forever. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Definitely stay tuned for more Grom videos. Got to cut myself off. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and peace.